Hello everyone, how are you today? Today I'm going to present you a game played in 1953. What's interesting about this game is that it has many different tactics like the zugzwang, windmill and many more tactics. Now on with the game, white started with e4, e5, knight to c3, knight to f6, and in this position white developed his piece bishop to f to c4. Here we have, of course, this is the Vienna game. Black took the pawn on e4. Of course, the idea from this sacrifice is after white takes the knight. Here we have black to d5, forking the bishop and knight, and of course later he will have the initiative after moving the bishop out of the way, taking, and black will have a piece up and more developed pieces. But white of course had different ideas. Queen to h5, threatening checkmate in this position, and this is not the only threat of checkmate we are going to see throughout the game. Black protected the piece with knight to d6, of course protecting and threatening to take the bishop on c4, and since the bishop is developed in a very good position, white backed his bishop to b3. Developing his pieces, black played with knight to c6, and white played knight to b5. Of course, the threats are continuing, threatening to take the only piece protecting the f7 square, and then checkmate. Now black played pawn to g6, threatening to take the queen. White backed his queen to f3, keeping an eye on the f7 square, of course. And in this position, black blocked queen's path with knight to f5. In this position, white played queen to d5, keeping the threats. Of course, the threats are continuing, and now black cannot bring back his knight or to d6, of course. After that, take with a check, and then eventually checkmate. In this position, black played knight to h6, protecting the square again. Now white played d4, opening for the black bishop to take and then take the only piece protecting the f7 square. Of course, black played pawn to d6, opening for the white bishop to put it on this square and gladly giving his knight away, no problem, as long as I get rid of the check threats. Now in this position, checkmate threats. White took the knight on h6. Black proceeded with bishop to e6. White played queen to f3. Black took the white bishop, of course, getting rid of this very dangerous piece. And of course, white took the black bishop, taking the bishop on f8. Black played bishop to a4, threatening to take the knight and the hanging knight. Of course, white played bishop to g7, threatening to take the rook to g8, and white played the bishop to f6, threatening to take the queen, moving the queen out of the way, and now knight to a3. Now we have white up with a piece with a knight, and black is up with one pawn. In this position, black played knight to took the pawn on d4. White played queen to h3, of course, wanting to exchange queens, and which black gladly did, and developing his knight on g1 to h3. Now we have black trying as much as possible to take pawns, of course, trying to compensate the knight that he lost. And now take. Now we have black up with 3 pawns, down knight, and white is up with a knight and down 3 pawns. In this position, white played rook to c1, threatening to take the white bishop, white's bishop. In this position here we have white playing knight to g5, of course threatening to take the bishop and giving away his pawn, no problem, which black gladly took. Now here we have the critical position. This is the position that, of course, we have two different scenarios. Here we have either sacrificing the rook on h1 and white would take the pawn. In this position, of course, anyone would think this is a loss, or moving the rook to g1, of course, and threatening to take the bishop, which is anyone I think will play this. This is the best move for white, protecting his pieces, since he's up a piece and down 4 pieces, 4 pawns, and he's a very good development for his pieces, of course. And what white played in this position is rook takes on c7. What an amazing sacrifice for the rook in order to take on the 7th rank, and the king is totally trapped. White thought it was okay and he took the rook on h1. Of course, in this position white took the pawn on f7, and here we have a threatening mate when taking the pawn with on d6, and the only move for the queen is for the king is to move to f8, and here we have threats for a checkmate. So in this position, black played rook to d5, threatening to take the knight. Knight to takes on d6, check, the only way to move, of course. And here we have rook bishop to g5, threatening to take, because in this position, if this is a checkmate, if you are going to play, let's say, pawn on h6, this is a checkmate. Of course you'll be down a piece, but what black played is rook to h8, giving space for his king to move, of course, because he knew this is the check is coming from the bishop. Now check, moving out of the way. Of course, now we have the windmill, no place for the king to move, and this is a very amazing tactic for those who don't know what the windmill is, giving perpetual checks and taking up more material. In this position, check, moving out of the way, and then check, you have no place to go but to go back. And in this position, white blocked the a8 rook, and here black played c6, check, check, of course, taking up pieces. This is the perpetual checks, this is the windmill tactic, check, and here we have check, taking up more pawns. In this position, thinking about this position, white played, of course, after moving the king, white played rook takes on a8. What an amazing move. Of course, thinking that this is a very good move, or he's forced to take the rook. There's nothing you can do about it. Taking the rook, here we have knight to d6. In this position, you can see the king have no place to go. This is the zugzwang situation that this video talks about, and the rook is also trapped. The only pieces that you have, there's even no chance for a stalemate, because you have a white bishop and it's opened, and the only piece that you can take is a2, since it's on a white pieces. So the threat here for white is he's going to take the king, march the king to the e7 square, and then finish off the game with a nice checkmate. So here it goes, marching the king. Knight played bishop to d6, d5, of course, gladly giving him the pawn, no problem. Take, and then marching the king to the square. Of course, in this position, white played knight to e8, of course, or e5. Sorry, no, e5 will be a very dangerous square. He will take with the bishop. And in this position, checkmate. What an amazing game. A very beautiful game that demonstrates how to use the windmill tactic, and the king was in a very dangerous position. Maybe if you are going to learn something from this position is try to castle as fast as possible, because some players might exploit a very quick, if you are very quick in your attack. Some players are very smart with these kinds of games and will eventually stop you from your attack. Thank you very much for watching. Please write down what do you think about the video. See you next time.